This is my fact assignment, the formative assessment classroom technique, and the fact assessment that we chose was concept card mapping for our learning segment and our standards about fossils. The Tennessee State standards that we chose for our learning segment and for our fact assignment were 5.ls.4.1, analyze and interpret data from fossils to describe types of organisms and their environments that existed long ago, compare similarities and differences of living organisms and their environments, recognize that most kinds of animals and plants that once lived on Earth are now extinct, and 5.ess.1, use evidence from the presence and location of fossils to determine the order in which rock strata were formed. These standards and this fact will be used during the lesson in order to collect information about how the students are making connections between the concepts and the terms that they are being assigned that relate back to the standards and the whole unit. And the most important objectives being assessed are the relationships between different stages of fossilization and how certain processes lead to specific results along the way. So what is concept card mapping? Concept card mapping involves the organization of ideas or elements of a concept that are all written on cards or index cards. The students can then take those cards and manipulate them and arrange them to represent the relationships and the patterns and the sequences of events that they are learning about. So you use one set of words and see the ways that students can make sense of the same ideas in different ways, because they'll be organized in groups and working in small groups in order to see how that is. So the students will be able to see how all the different parts work together, and it'll be helpful for the teachers to understand how deeply they're thinking about the ideas, how accurate their content knowledge is, and how widespread their thinking and overview of the content that they need to learn is. Students can be instructed to create their own concept cards and arrange them individually or within groups. So they could be provided with content cards to arrange, or they could just have blank ones that they can fill in themselves. And the teacher will then circulate and ensure that students are using the cards in a way that is helpful to the lesson and consistent with the learning objectives that we have for the day and for the unit. In our particular example, they would be working in groups and discussing and exploring their own ideas and their partners' ideas, so that way all the students have the opportunity to contribute in a way that makes them feel confident and secure in their abilities to express their ideas accurately and completely, so that we can also have the best understanding of where they're at in their understandings. So in our particular lesson, they would be given various cards to arrange in a way that makes sense to them. The students could be asked specific questions like, how could the plant have become a fossil, or just to understand different relationships between the steps of fossilization. So the students will use concept card mapping, so the teacher will be able to assess the connections that the students are making between different concepts in the unit. And a lot of the discussion in ours would come from different groups all coming together and sharing in whole group and having discussions amongst the groups as a whole class based on whether or not students agree or disagree with other connections that have been made by other group members. We believed that this would lead to very productive conversation, seeing as we will be giving them 16 cards and no two groups are likely to arrange them in the exact same way, and so it will allow the teacher to further assess their understanding in the way that they support their own assessments and documentations and how they refute respectfully that of their partners. Additionally, this will give us an opportunity to practice some of the things that we've also been learning about in our readings, about learning how to respectfully disagree with people's points and how to fully be able to explain and justify your own reasons. So in our example, we would give them 16 cards, and they would be in their groups and their table groups. The cards would say wind, fossil, imprint, transforms into, pressure, rock, soil, animal, plant, bones, layers, time, disintegrates, and 3 blank ones, to be able to fill in whatever they need in order to fill in the relationship sequences that they plan on showing the class. And we believe that these specific examples would be able to help us understand if they understand the sequences and relationships and potential causes that can come with fossilization. So, with all of these things in mind, we believe that concept card mapping would be a good fact to incorporate into our learning segment, into our unit, in order to fully be able to assess students' thinking about the processes and relationships involved in the process of fossilization.